This episode is sponsored by Bigger Bash, Bigger City's 25th anniversary celebration in Las Vegas this year, September 6th through September 8th at the Palms Casino. Tickets are on sale now, and we'll hope to see you there.
Hello, and welcome back to the Big Fat Gay Podcast, where we love to talk about the things that are weighing on our minds. My name's Don Marshall. I'm a big chubby guy living here in sunny Hollywood, and today I am a video game boy. I bought myself a new video game for the first time in like a year yesterday.
What game?
Darkest Dungeons 2. I love this game so much.
Oh, that sounds merry.
I think I've heard good things.
It's very grim and angsty in a fun sort of way. So,
board game.
No, video game.
This is a video game?
It's a video game.
Isn't there a board game of that?
There is a board game based on the first video game. Yes, you're right, actually. I forgot about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Dan Oliverio, author, public speaker, and chubby chaser. And today I am I'm a post-lunch boy, and I have all my characters. The Italian, the Goblin.
And they're all sitting on a sandwich, ready to go.
And I have the little elf. They're all here.
I imagine they're all sharing a big sub sandwich.
You put the provolone. No, you bring the bucket now.
I'm Trevor Keyson. I'm a super chub, and I'm an iced coffee and Pop-Tart boy. I had a little snack. I shared a Pop-Tart with my fellow co-host to my left.
That's me, Michael Willer. I'm a chubby chaser. And the Pop-Tart was delightful, but what's really helping me out right now is my Ritalin.
I was wondering why you were just circling the couch before we started. Just running laps.
It's second episode of the day energy right now. We just recorded a delightful interview with Corey Sherman. If you somehow missed that episode, the previous episode, you should go check it out because it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to take a second to share some of my exciting experiences over the past week. I got to go to Disneyland, and for the very first time in my life, I got to join the Scooter Club.
Oh,
yes, a very Scooty for your cry.
Oh my God.
Life-changing, isn't it?
Why did I fight this fight?
This is your first time doing Disneyland on a scooter, right?
First time.
On a mobility scooter.
And I have to say, the reason why I caved, because I knew I was going to be there for at least 16 hours.
Oh, shit.
With a group of Disney fanatics that want to maximize their Genie Pass. So are putting themselves on lines in Disneyland and Disney California.
That's
alternating.
the worst way to do it.
But so that they keep, so the third time I'm crossing that courtyard between parks on my scooter, and I'm watching the rest of our like 30 plus crowd dropping off.
I was going to say, because this is the one time where you get to fucking shame them for how out of shape they are. Come on, what's the matter? Can't you keep up? Come on.
So I have to say, like, going with these people is a joy, right? They know Disneyland. They provide an experience that is amazing, but it is the first time I have left that park where I didn't feel like I needed a stretcher. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to take the day off the day after to recover.
Yeah.
I just had a wonderful time. And to top it all off, right? When you're in those scooters in the Disney park, the entire park is now a dark ride. You know?
What?
Like a dark ride is like a.
I know what a dark ride is, but
Because you're on a track.
You're on your own little cart, right? The cart is just driving you through the entire
I was just like, did you have your eyes closed? Why was it a dark ride?
See, for me, the association with dark ride is the air conditioning.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That would have been amazing.
But so for example, like we went back to the third time we went back to Galaxy's Edge that day. I went. It was the dead of night. It was like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night.
Nice.
After all the
when the sand people are out.
No, after everybody had left, I was in Galaxy's Edge alone.
It's so much fun.
On my
I've done
own
that.
scooter. And it's so
It's
beautiful.
so amazing.
At night.
It's spectacular. I had an impromptu, my cousin's partner and I had an impromptu lightsaber fight with a random guy who had a red lightsaber on the streets of Galaxy's Edge at night after everyone had left. It was spectacular. It was so much fun.
I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah.
And I have to say again, for people who are mobility impaired, the park has taken that into consideration.
Oh, very much so.
To a degree that I've never seen anywhere else. It's
brilliant.
You can drive your scooters right down the lines on most of the attractions. The ones that are not geared for it, meaning the really old ones that were built in
The Castle Reds, yeah.
Yeah. They actually are set up so that, you can get up close and then you park it and then they'll just escort you to the front.
Yeah.
Disney is great for this. And I don't know if I will do Disney without a scooter again.
Oh, Trevor.
I don't. Yeah, don't.
Tell Trevor. Trevor, did you want to share something?
I am just. You're never going back, Tom. When you sent us the picture of you, I just imagined the montage of you going through the park, feels like the first time.
You're not wrong.
Feels like you high five Goofy, very first time.
I actually sent emails to some of the people in the group the following 2 days later, just to apologize in case I was a little over enthusiastic. Because when I came through the front gates on that thing, I just started circling people because I could.
Yeah. No, I remember going with Trevor, and this was, I think, maybe the first time. It was the first time I was with him with a scooter. And because he can outrun me, he can outpace me, he never gets tired. It's you can go let's go to Tomorrowland. Okay, now let's go to Adventureland. Okay, now let's go whoa.
Hold on.
See, I'm jealous.
This is a lot of walking.
I'm
I could
jealous
use a
of
break.
that because you got a different experience than me because they slowed down the carts. I found that.
Sort of. You got a Disney official cart.
Yes.
Which are slower and make the devil's own noise anytime you back up.
No, yeah, that beep. Oh my
it's
God.
horrible. And you can rent from a third party. Disney has made this incredibly inconvenient where you can get a faster car and it won't beep when you back up. Trevor prefers it. We haven't gone back since the moratorium on these third party things.
Yeah.
It's like trying to smuggle rebels into Empire territory.
I will say, I wished it went a little faster because I want to go fast. But I have to say the day I was there, it was probably for the best that it wasn't going faster than it was because there would have been a lot of crushed ankles. In Disneyland.
There have been some times where I'm going so fast and I take a turn so sharp, I'm on two wheels on the side.
Yes. And his cries of ramming speed are most enchanting.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I really liked about the Disney rental carts is that the seats aren't fixed. You can unhook them and swivel them 180 degrees.
Yeah.
So you can park it and make a seat anywhere you want.
That's pretty much standard on a heavy duty scooter.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I only mentioned it because I pulled up next to two people and asked if it did it. Yeah. And both of them responded, no, scooters don't do that.
This is like when I'm on a flight and someone says, oh my God, the armrest goes up. I'm like, yes, young one, it does.
Okay, well, redirecting the scooter back to the episode. Thank you to our patrons, to all of our listeners.
All of our listeners.
We have the Dave the Diner mini-sode with Michael and I available.
The mini-sode. And Don and I are going to be doing a mini-sode coming up too. More video game mini-sodes. I hope you like video games. About the two fighting game characters, both of which tackle being fat very differently. And the analysis of a seemingly non-fat community-related YouTuber who did a video about it.
Yeah.
And
made some really good observations for a straight-sized
Shockingly
straight guy.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's use that as a jumping off.
Double straight.
Yes. And thanks to Bigger Bash, which is in Las Vegas, September 6th through 8th. We'll be there. We'll be square. We'll be having fun. We'll be doing some podcasting.
I'll be round.
Yes.
I think I shall be rhomboid.
Oh, God.
And if you are going to be at Bigger Bash, you can use our promo code BigFatGayPod to get 15% off your order of swim trunks, underwear, jock straps.
And I believe the Palms Casino / hotel has a multi-story pool setup, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
Yes. And so the whole pool area is
I
going
don't
to be
think I've ever been in a multi-story pool.
I'm pretty sure. I remember seeing this because I looked them up on the website, and there's one massive pool area, and then I think there are smaller, either jacuzzis or hot tubs or things on the second story.
I'm
very curious. This is going to be quite the setup.
Wow. So. It's like living in the future.
Yes.
And if you're not going and you want to find a different way to support the podcast, you can use our link to get yourself a Big Fig mattress and have your own kind of Bigger Bash.
Yeah. You can have a Bigger Bash every night if you want.
Yeah.
I'm glad you put this in the outline because I would have forgotten. But we are going to be taking a hiatus for the month of July. We will be taking a break from regular episodes. That is when you will see the minisode with me and Don. We might have another minisode in there somewhere, but by and large, we're going to take that month off and we'll be coming back strong in August.
Yes.
Leading
we're
into
be
Bigger Bash.
Having a summer vacation vibes, going to be befriending dolphins, having introspective adventures with mermaids, discovering pirates' treasure in a cave with our childhood friends.
Okay. On that note.
Oh, my.
Oh, boy. All right, everybody, buckle up.
Is this the thing I think it is?
This is the thing you think it is.
Oh, shit.
So I have to set this up with this came into my fat aggregator and the rage I felt watching this trailer. So this was featured in Variety, Body Positive Annecy player, Living Large debuts trailer. And so this is a movie, A Living Large by Christina Dufka, and this Variety piece is by Marta Balaga.
Is this American?
No, she's Czech.
Yes.
Okay.
So we are going to play the trailer, mostly because you can get a lot of what we're going to be talking about from the dialogue that you'll hear in it. We'll also have the link on the website if you want to watch it yourself. And this is why I said buckle up.
I think the place I feel most at home is the kitchen. My grandma taught me to cook.
Nice work, Papetka. Way to be late on the first day.
I'm sorry I'm late. I couldn't help it. The three-headed beast ate my homework. These are not the girls we used to know.
Yeah, you know, evolution.
Since you love cakes, I wanted to bake for you. I guess I kinda love you. No.
You gotta face it, dude. She's out of our league.
It's considered class 2 obesity.
Have you ever tried to lose weight, Dad?
All my life, kid.
Watch out, Clara, or he'll eat you. Yeah, Puffy'll eat anything, even sisters.
The issue isn't in the stomach. It's right here.
So what is he, a rabbit?
It's not so bad when you have motivation.
If I see you at the pool, you'll be worried about your health.
Isn't it great to have brothers at this age?
Where are your shorts? Go change now.
He's in love.
Whoever's making those weird noises, it's not as funny as you think.
He can't help it. It's his diet.
Yo. Living large, I'm living large in my heart. I'm fully charged for my new start. Living large, I'm living large in my heart. Who cares if I don't look the part? I am hungry for life, and I say that's okay. So eat your fill today. It's only life anyway.
So just to fully put this trailer in context for people before we talk about it, I want to read what the writer-director said about this movie specifically. And Ben, the main character, is a fat kid. Mm-hmm. She says, Ben needs to start liking himself just the way he is. Only then can he think about making any serious lifestyle changes. So the point,
which is code for,
it's okay if you accept yourself for being fat as long as your plan is to eventually, better yourself and become healthier, which is code for lose weight.
Yeah. It's giving the whale. It's giving like the worst. I don't know. It's like, it's also like so many like fat phobic tropes, but they're like, but it's body positive. So it's nice.
Yeah, that is the thing.
It's like gaslighting. It's like saying, hey, we're with you. By the way, like your diet is making you sound weird to everyone else and it's your fault for eating weird. Like there's so many.
Well, and the doctor's thing, like it's all in your head.
It's
not
all
right. And it's basically what the trailer is setting up. To be fair, we have not seen it, but what the trailer makes clear is that being down on yourself and being depressed is what's making you fat. And there's no point in losing weight until you feel better about yourself, at which point you can then lose weight successfully.
I mean, also just that, once again, we have only seen the trailer, but it is just like so clear what this is. There's a musical number about losing weight.
Yeah.
Which is like...
to finish the quote, I stopped early before. The rest of her quote is, he loses a bit of weight as the story progresses. He decides to be healthier, but he doesn't suddenly become thin because, of course, that would be too easy.
Yeah.
He falls in love and starts to look at himself differently, but you must accept yourself first. That's the lesson here, and that's the first step on his journey. Journey being code for losing weight.
I think also what kind of like gets me is it is stop motion animation. So it's like the amount of time that went into this movie to like the time that went into crafting these little fat phobic moments frame by frame.
Yeah. When you have animation, there are no accidents. Every single thing in that frame has been handcrafted to be there.
Even the bloopers?
I find it really interesting. Like when I watch
you laugh, but Toy Story did that.
I know.
I feel like I'm too old to
get upset
by it. It just feels like, that's the default that we've left behind. So, okay.
I think this is worse because this is made by somebody who's not fat saying that she gets it. And she's saying, I know your experience and this is body positive and this will help you on your journey to becoming healthier. And fuck that.
That was another one of the reasons why I asked where this was from, was because this doesn't feel like the American place.
That's what I said.
On this. It feels like a country that's still working out these issues. So
you mean like England?
Yeah, like Europe. Honestly, like Europe, and definitely Eastern Europe.
Fuck yes.
So it didn't shock me when you said, what is Czechoslovakia?
She's Czech,
you said?
Check.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if it's just the sensibility of its creator coming through that's not jibing with us. And of course, to acknowledge, this is the trailer. We know nothing about the movie again.
It's not out. You can't watch the movie.
Yeah.
This is just the
promise.
But the trailer is, for an American taste, problematic.
This is just kind of a trend I'm noticing of like the resurgence of like class 4 obesity.
Yeah.
Like as someone with omega level obesity.
I'm
so proud of you.
I'm feeling a little ignorant. I actually haven't heard that term before.
I hadn't either until recently. It wasn't even with this.
It's basically like it's just levels of high BMI.
It's part of the lie that fatness is a disease is you got to call obesity a disease. And if there are levels of obesity, well, how do we classify diseases like stage 4 cancer? There's stage 4 obesity.
It's new, but also like it is familiar, like Don said. And it's just, I guess this is like the regurgitated obesity crisis stuff now that we're in this new Ozempic era.
Yeah, but see, it doesn't do that because the Ozempic take, it's not your fault. It's bigger than you. That would be, he just needs to get on the right pharmaceuticals and then he can have the life he wants, self-confidence and the girl.
But it's also, but I think the fact that the doctor's like, it's not in his stomach, it's in his head.
I think, yeah. So I think
that's the reverse.
No, right. But I think what Trevor's saying is this feels like somebody misguidedly saying, no, you don't need Ozempic because it's all in your head. It's them trying to say that's not necessary. You can do it the old fashioned way by hating yourself, by pretending to love yourself.
So Trevor and Michael, I have a feeling you guys may be just a little too young to remember this fad. Dan, do you remember The Secret?
Oh, fuck yes.
Have you guys heard of this?
I'm familiar with it.
So The Secret was this whole like positivity and thinking concept, right? Where, as long as you can believe it hard enough, it will come into your life. But the flip side to that is if the flip side to The Secret is if it hasn't come into your life, it's your fault for not believing it enough. And that's the danger of the thinking that this movie advocates, right? It's all in your head. So you're not doing enough work in your head to stop this condition that's happening to you, right?
Yeah.
And it just paints people into corners in a different way.
Yeah, we're hanging a lot on a trailer. But
yes.
But the trailer is setting the stage for a lot, like also the kind of problematic notion of like, well, his motivation for losing weight is going to be this girl
I just need the motivation, which is I want people to like me.
Yeah.
They try and the thing that's not working for me here, which maybe the movie addresses it, is that she is trying to make a point that it's not about losing weight.
Yes.
But she is equating the weight loss with being healthier and kind of implying that he needs to make healthier choices to have a better lifestyle. So like it's all in the subtext. Now, I will say this. the movie, the trailer at the moment only has 156 views on YouTube, and it was posted 10 days ago at the time of recording. It's not exactly like this is blowing up anywhere.
It's really ugly to look at.
Yeah. It's comments have been turned off because I tried to leave a comment. I really wanted to. It has 3 likes. So,
oh,
yeah.
So the filmmaker has siblings.
I don't know.
I feel no
begrudge
guilt.
the woman, the director.
I do.
I just am like,
Do better.
there's so much went into this, and it's like,
Yeah, it really.
I
did.
think that's the frustration. It's
Well,
like,
that's what makes me want to see the movie because, like, you know,
I still think that like there is somewhere where these were progressive thoughts that are moving
Yeah.
the ball forward somewhere.
someday, somewhere, whatever.
If this movie comes out,
What is our next story, Trevor?
maybe we'll watch it.
So this is from Vox, and this is by Rebecca Jennings, and it is a piece. Is it ever okay to film strangers in public?
Oh,
this is a very
dear listener, as Trevor tells you this story, just be aware my hands are slowly going up in the air and my
Middle fingers raised.
fingers are going up to the world in general. And Trevor, I will explain why afterwards. You go ahead. You go.
So Rebecca Jennings does a really good, because like this is an extensive look at the notion of all of this media coming out of filming strangers in public, filming strangers and applying reactions to them, and just kind of how like we got to this point from things like Strangers of Walmart and talking about how like people of Walmart, that this like was so built on kind of like classist things, fat phobia, transphobia, racism.
Yeah.
And how like these trends kind of built and spun out of control.
And it's evolved too. I mean, there's a bunch of different versions of it. There's also kindness content in massive air quotes where you have an influencer run up to somebody and say like, hey, could you spare me $1? Like a homeless person.
Yeah.
Could you spare me $1? And then they give you $1. And then it's like, then the influencer like rewards them for giving them their last dollar or whatever. And it's incredibly manipulative because at best, if it's not staged, they're just stealing this person's like interaction to then sell on TikTok and make thousands back.
Yeah, but
like,
see, Michael, it's really the opposite of bum fighting.
So
I mean, it is an improvement on bump fights.
No, it's the
You gotta
opposite.
give it
It's,
that.
This article, I think, illustrates exactly how wrong this can be. At the top of it, by relating the experience of one Mitchell Clark, a 25-year-old fellow who was working at a Target in Atlanta. And as they describe, somebody props up a phone nearby and he says, I thought it was for Dumb Prank Channel. And it wasn't until a young woman bent over directly in front of him, her dress short enough to expose her entire bare bottom, that he realized what was going on. She then takes the video of him reacting, which is a shock. His reaction is kind of shocked, but in the video, it also looks like he's ogling her because, I mean, she just fucking did it in front of him and he didn't know what was going to happen. She posts this on OnlyFans. She just takes his reaction and essentially the caption was, her caption for the video was, oh, just minding my own business. And then she shows how creepy he looks in the fake context that she's created for this video that she stole of him and didn't even ask his permission for. Obviously, he wouldn't have given it or she would have asked him. Well, probably not, but that's how it should work.
Yeah.
And so he has to then go and make his own response to this to defend himself. Yeah. And the first thing he says, and you can tell in the video if you're gay, he's like, I'm gay. Like, I didn't fucking care that like she had like her ass was out. I was just surprised by it. But she takes his reaction out of context. You obviously don't get to hear his side of the story and is so intensely fucked.
And so the reason why I'm pissed at this is just because I've had it my entire life. I have seen disembodied fat bodies on television that have never been filmed with a fat person's permission.
Certainly not.
I've taken it for granted that if I am on TV and this is someone who is an aspiring actor at one point, it was more likely that I was going to appear on television as a disembodied stomach than an actual part.
So what Don's describing is the B-roll that news stories will roll of fat people, and in order to steal footage of them without having to get releases, they don't show their faces. And so you have what Don's describing is disembodied like guts and asses.
Bellies.
So I'm watching people complaining about something that they never complained about when it was on me or my people. So fuck y'all. I don't care.
So when I was in high school, pre-smartphone era, aging myself here. We did have cell phones, but not with cameras, really.
Back when we had numbers on the phone.
So I had an experience. So just a little background. In high school, I was like a video artist. I was in the video art classes. And you rented cameras from the AV lab. And there was a point where I rented a camera and there was a videotape in it. Oh. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And I was watching and I'm like, it was this skater kid. And I'm like, I know who this is. I can return his tape. But then I'm just going through, I'm like, I'm curious what he shot. And then I see video of myself. I don't think you know this story.
I don't.
And I was sitting in the student lounge on the couch and like, I had a bagel and cream cheese and there was a whole thing.
Wait, this is in the video?
Yes. And the cafeteria didn't have a bagel cutter that worked. So you would and it was plastic knives. So like most people would like kind of frost the top of the bagel, like it was a donut with cream cheese.
Yeah.
And he's just filming me and just talking shit about me.
Oh my God.
Like, look at this fat piece of shit. He's fucking putting cream cheese on a donut. And it was like the most kind of horrifying, fat person fear realized.
Oh my God.
And
this is like a movie, a terrible movie.
and the devil is hearing this.
That's a bloody nightmare, Trevor. I'm so sorry you went through that.
I did not give him his tape back. And actually got to a point where, because I think he realized he didn't have his tape. And the AV lab's like, was there a tape in the camera when you got it? I'm like, nope.
Yeah, fuck that guy, really.
So did you take any action on this?
No, because it was such a... I don't know what I would do. It's just something, there's no good way to do it. The article touches on kind of the fat phobia within these trends. But I think there is such in this age, visceral fear for fat people, that I'm going to get filmed being fat in public. I thought of that when at the airport in the wheelchair when I had the two people. I was like, I bet this
someone's
I'm going to end up on TikTok or something as the fat person.
Yeah, it was disappointing that you didn't. Yeah,
I mean, this is why I don't go in public anymore.
And I think it's interesting because the article goes on to talk about Joey Swall, who was this kind of hot muscle bodybuilder influencer guy who has started to do call out videos of people doing these filming in public videos, but kind of in a problematic way.
Oh, what do you mean?
So he's sharing, he'll basically do a TikTok duet where he will share a woman who has filmed herself at the gym doing a workout video, calling out creepers.
Oh, I see.
Watching her workout. But it's he's pointing out no, they're watching you because you're just doing weird stuff.
Right.
And,
you're doing weird shit,
you're staging this.
Yeah.
But the fact that that in doing those duets, he is also then just kind of forcing these people to be regurgitated in content because they were filmed once without their permission. And now it is being shared on an even wider scale.
Yeah.
And that he seems to target women.
There is an antidote to this. Well, at least there's a temporary antidote to this, which is I've stumbled across a channel. I watch his YouTube shorts, but I'm sure he's on TikTok and elsewhere, called Scumbag Dad. And he does exactly this. He makes satirical versions of these types of videos with actors and extrapolates them into ridiculous situations such that it becomes its own sort of, it's satire. So he's eviscerating the people who do this for real, but then also comments on it in other videos, says, here's the problem with all of this kind of content. Here's why it's wrong. And they're incredibly entertaining, and you feel a sense of
justice.
Yeah, well, you just want to see somebody speaking out against it. That's the thing. You just want to see somebody who represents a normal viewpoint and not some fucking kindness content creator.
So I'm going to take this in another direction because I think, I'm going to say there's probably not a lot of listeners out there who are doing this, but here's something that a lot of our listeners probably are doing.
I know where this is going.
What's this?
Okay. So a significant part of fat porn is filming fat people in public.
Oh no, don't do that.
And then posting it on, say, Tumblr.
Yeah.
It's usually Tumblr. or stealing stealing someone's content and not giving them credit and just saying like, he's really fat. Isn't that great?
Right.
But not giving them credit. And I say credit because they posted it on their own page and they would want credit.
Sure.
So they have they give neither credit nor permission. And there are, I would say, hundreds of these Tumblr accounts that are just stealing content or creepers who are filming content of fat people in public. And then we follow them, which is why they're doing it. Like if you stop following it, it'll stop.
Yeah.
It really is that.
You can't support it.
The article talks about that, like, it's like we've gone so far that it's hard to like tell people like, well, now don't do that. That's not nice. But that like we need to put pressure on the platforms to demonetize channels who do this.
Yes.
Who like if someone's platform is these, I think prank or even just whatever videos where it relies on the existence of people being filmed without their consent, that like, no, you can't make money from this platform.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way to take it down, which I mean, relies on the platforms to actually do it.
I think that would also do this because the thing that I first thought of is like, well, what if you're filming something that's like an injustice and you don't have people's permission, right? Like someone's getting beat by the police. You don't have the policeman's permission. You don't have the bystander's permission, but it should still be posted. But I think what you said is key, is that you're not allowed to make money from it.
Yeah.
If you like it can be, if you want to use it for social justice purposes, great, that people can spread it. But if it's not monetizable.
Thank you to Rebecca Jennings for doing this really in-depth piece, breaking this down and the origins of it. And I hope maybe we will have some kind of update to this in the future about like TikTok deplatforming prank channels. That would be so amazing. I hate like just videos where it's like, I'm pranking someone in Walmart.
All right, let's get out of this.
Especially when it's an employee. Don't be a dick.
It's all bad. It's all bad.
Fat Watch 2024.
The winds of change. The winds of
I smell
fat.
it.
The winds of
The winds of bees. They're still kind of swarming outside.
No. They're far diminished.
For Fat Watch today, coming at us from edinburghlive.co.uk.
Yeah.
Edinburgh man on overcoming brutal bullying for being the bigger one in school. 28-year-old actor and barman Josh Brock, living in Leith, talks about the brutal bullying he endured simply for being the bigger one in school. Now, that's the setup here. What he's done with this, with his experience, is he's written or co-written a Fringe Festival play, a one-act play called Mannequin, Manikin. And it's playing at Fringe this year. And it's, as he put it, and this is what I really liked about this, because I think there's the first half of the article is talking about his experiences, being bullied, and there's a lot of relatability there. But then what he's taken from that and is put into his creativity is to participate with this show. And he says, there are a lot of sensitive moments in the show. It is a safe space to explore these issues. Being in that rehearsal room, it just clicked for me. It was fantastic. Support that I felt in the rehearsal and to be able to just do this show in front of people is great. I want for that 1 hour for them to feel that they are being listened to and that their stories are being heard.
The people, presumably the people who have been bullied in the audience.
Yeah. Whoever shows up to participate with that story that might relate to it. And he also says, and like, even if that's not you, that it might inspire you to reach out to somebody that you do know in your life or a friend that you think this might have applied to and like check in on them. It has a focus on not just fatness, but also mental health. And I think there's a lot of advocacy happening through that story, which is fantastic.
I mean, one of the points in the article that he makes, the theater maker, is that he was able to overcome the bullying, but it was hellish while he was in it. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people carry trauma and stigma for the rest of their lives because they got bullied because they were fat or whatever.
Yeah. Especially when it takes place in like a school environment, because you can't go back and close that chat. Like you're not there anymore.
Yeah.
It's hard to return and close that chapter of your life.
And the adults are, and you're a child. You don't have any agency. And if the adults are like, well, just lose weight.
That's what he says is it starts with teasing, and if the teasing isn't shut down, it grows and blooms into full-blown bullying, and that is absolutely the responsibility of the adults. I also like that he's taken. So one of the things he talks about is that you have this play, but the advice he was given as an aspiring actor was like, if you can't find the work, like make the work. And so in making this play, he also started a theater company called Saltire Sky Theater, which is meant to bring works like this into existence, which I think is really fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
I really like that he's doing this. I think this is so important because so often we talk about like, where are the men in this? And I mean, we're struggling with like talking about men's mental health and the fact that this play is doing both of those things, putting a spotlight on men having body issues, men struggling with mental health, and how that intersects with fatness.
Or men being the focus of abuse.
Yeah. Like there's my heart broke because there's a picture of him as a kid with his mom.
Oh yeah.
And I think it just shows the, like, I always think that like it gives a face to it more than just like, here's the photo of him for promoting the play. Mm-hmm. I feel like things like this like are giving little pushes, and I'm curious when it'll really kind of take off and like happen globally, that we really start having these conversations. I think it's a huge sign that, it's happening at Edinburgh Fringe and that he is based out of the UK. Cause I feel like maybe
ground zero for fat phobia.
Yeah. Like maybe once people really see like, oh wow, the Brits are talking about this. Maybe we need to do this all over.
Yeah. I may think I got something wrong. Josh is the actor. The writer-director is Nathan Dunn.
Okay. I thought I read the whole thing thinking they were the same.
I think I think there's a lot of participation happening. It was co-written by several people, including Josh. But they are currently, so this ran, the play ran last year in Fringe, and they're reviving it this year and then doing a full theater run afterwards.
Good.
Mm-hmm. So they currently have a crowdfunder going to help them pay for the travel and to get to the theater space and all that stuff. So if you want to support them, you can find the article link on our website, and at the bottom of the page they have a link to their crowdfunder.
Yes.
And I think it's a worthwhile project.
Yes.
All right.
Huzzah!
So we have a very, very special main subject today.
Yes.
It's surprise mailbag.
Listener writes in, I'd love to hear you folks process this or related rabbit holes. Although I've shared with gay friends and remaining family, my two sisters, what kind of men I'm attracted to, still people can't seem to absorb it. An acquaintance told me he couldn't believe I was single, and in a long text said a longtime friend of his was visiting and suggested we meet. You'll love him. He's active, outdoorsy, and fit, just like you. I reminded him, as I told him more than once before, I really would prefer a guy who's chubby. Oh, yeah, right. Well, I still think you should meet. You never know. You aren't getting any younger.
Oh, God.
As if I needed reminding.
That's nice.
He was really insistent. It was frustrating. I felt like I wasn't seen or heard by this friend/acquaintance. Like my real sexual needs really don't matter. Even if I was lucky enough to be in a relationship with a fat guy, how would my friends react? My best friend, a woman I go walking with, can be negative about anyone who is not, quote, in shape. Yeah. It's hard to imagine walking with her and a potential partner somehow sharing things together with him and others simultaneously. Then there's the implicit, quote, why isn't he helping his loved one stay in shape, lose weight? Mm-hmm. I just attended a local pride event, a street party in Old Town. Lots of couples, only one mixed size or gain or encourager pair, friends of mine. It would be nice to hear how you folks have handled the direct, indirect pressures. You've given tips throughout many episodes and bits that have cropped up in your conversations. A nice deep dive on the subject would be healing for me, maybe others.
Thank you for writing this.
Yeah.
So I think this is an important subject that I don't know that we've tackled before, but being set up.
No, he's right. We kind of circled the drain on this.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really interesting one to tackle for a Chub Chaser podcast. So I am 50, right? And in all of my friendships, I think the number one way that people meet tends to be online nowadays.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The second most popular way to meet in most relationships I've known are people who meet through friends, right? Or introduced by friends with that in mind.
And so many people, even if it's the minority, would prefer that.
Yeah. In my lifetime, I have been introduced once in a matchup. And the person who matched me up with a lovely person who was very handsome, very nice, very intelligent, and had no interest in fatter guys. So I was like, why would this happen, right? So I find it curious. In the Chub Chaser community, would you match up your friends with former boyfriends or lovers? Is that a thing?
You must launch me now.
Okay.
I'll choose you. So here's the thing. Ironically, both sides of this are suffering from the same phenomenon, which is normies and society in general tend to disparage chubby chasers.
Yeah.
And, there's good cause for that. I get it. But being a chubby chaser is usually looked down upon. It's something that you wouldn't admit to people. It is a bit of a stigma outside the chub chaser community. So what you have is normies, like the author's friends saying like, oh, well, I know you have that thing, but obviously we wouldn't have the bad taste to, foreground that. So you should meet my friend anyway. And then we have the people who are trying to set you up, Don, which is like, well, I obviously wouldn't hook you up with a chubby chaser. That's just sick and wrong. Yeah. So I'm going to hook you up with a perfectly normal person, and I'm sure they can get past your weight. I mean, I do.
That's all of my friends don't really see my weight as much anymore.
I don't see size. Don.
It's funny how it becomes so invisible after a certain point.
I don't have any. Do I? I don't think I have any experience with people trying to set me up with anybody. But I have a great defense for that. I just stay in relationships my whole life.
This goddamn serial monogamist.
You just never have to worry. But I find this really interesting that somebody that you consider to be a friend is setting you up with a person that they're fully ignoring something that you've told them is important. And I wonder, so here's my question. Because the way that the writer writes is that they've mentioned that you prefer chubby guys. And I wonder if you need to say, I only will date somebody I'm attracted to who are fat people.
I think that's pretty valid. Because if I don't understand that you're saying, I prefer fat guys, meaning if they're not fat, I am not going to date them. Yeah. Or am I hearing it like I prefer fat guys like you prefer blonde guys?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a trait that I like.
Well, and if you say it that way, Michael, you will get labeled a fetishist.
Exactly. So I get why there's a resistance to it, but then you're kind of fucked either way, but not in a good way.
You'll get fucked either way, and meaning not fucked.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It's hard because my inclination whenever I talk to guys who are concerned about their friends' reactions to potential partners or whatever, it's like, well, maybe you shouldn't be friends with them if they're such assholes.
That's my first thought.
And but it's also hard because it's like these are if you have lifelong friends, whatever. But I also think if they're lifelong friends, they will step up. And I think I don't know, something I have told guys is just you need to be explicit about what you like, especially because this is usually talking to guys who are into super chubs.
Yeah.
And so it's I don't think you should be watching my 600 pound life with your friends and be like, yowza, look at that guy. But I don't know, maybe that would certainly get the point across if you they really just can't get it. But it is back to the thing of you will be labeled a fetishist.
No one do that, please.
No, don't do that.
Did I mention it's already a stigma?
So I want to add, and I think maybe I'm setting you up, Dan, because to me, explaining this act, because people have asked me so why fat people? What's the, what is it, this feels like they've sort of made the comparison of preference, like we were talking about a second ago. Is it just a preference blonde people? And to me, it's unequivocally, no, this is a sense of my identity. This is just how I am. It's not a matter I prefer guys with blue eyes, maybe, but that's not a deal breaker in any other measure. So
and to be fair, if someone was trying to hook me up with I prefer fit or average bodied guys, right? However, I am not averse to a bigger guy if they have the right personality traits.
Yeah.
So I could see why somebody might not hesitate.
It does not work that way for everybody. Yeah, it does not.
So there are two things.
Making your own tastes clear and the degree of those tastes to your friends, if you want those matchups, is important.
Yeah. And I think there's two things going on here. One is, have you ever heard the story about the person who comes out to their parents and they have to keep coming out to their parents?
Oh God, yes.
And usually one of the reasons for that is, and this isn't a fault or a defect, but the reason that they have to keep getting reminded is because they never see anything gay about your life. They don't see you in a relationship. They don't hear you talking about the dates you went on. All they see is what they saw of you when you were, 13 years old, which wasn't gay then, at least as far as they were concerned.
Right.
And nothing's changed since then. So when you say you're gay, it's sort of like, international news. It's like, okay, if you say so.
Right.
So there's the fact that it doesn't show up in the relationship because you're not dating anyone or because you're not talking about it or whatever. They don't consider it part of your identity because they know you really well and it never comes up. So that's thing one. The other thing is that it is this awful line. Like you say, it's, I don't want to be considered a fetishist, and yet it's kind of a deal breaker.
Yeah.
And how I like to explain it is, if you were going to go buy a car, yes, the function of a car is to get you from point A to point B. But, I'm pretty sure that you would have extremely strong tastes about whether you bought an automatic or a manual transmission.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe even to the point where I'm only going to, I'm only going to buy an automatic transmission because I don't know how to drive a manual transmission. Mm-hmm. So, that's not like, well, have you tried a manual transmission, Dan? I can't believe you won't take this car. I mean, it has a manual transmission, but you can't get over that. I mean, are you a fetishist for automatics?
Right.
So I think there is for most people a sense of what is a deal breaker characteristic that is allowed and not allowed. Mm-hmm. And if it's a characteristic that is seen as negative, you're usually accused of being a fetishist. For example, no one ever, if I say, I only date super smart people. I only date people who have at least 130 IQ. No one says, oh my God, Dan, you're one of those intelligence fetishists.
Right.
Yeah.
No one ever says that, right?
That's a really interesting point.
Yeah.
I think, so, we're talking about the whole, the idea of you don't want to be boxed in as a fetishist and, they are ignoring this thing in your life. But I think a way to kind of shift that perspective would be to just be more open about larger issues related to fatness.
Yes.
And to, when we have articles about, fat watch things where it's like, oh, this would be really great to share with the people in your life.
Yeah.
Share those articles with these people you're talking about.
Yeah.
Talk about Big Boys, which, we just talked about last week.
Yeah. Make it bigger.
This movie resonated with me so much because it talks about my experience.
Make it bigger than just what people are going to think about instantly, which is sex.
Yeah.
It is that. And it is part of what I am connected with.
I think that's really important. Sorry. Keep going.
I mean, because don't get me wrong, the sex is kind of the seed of it. That's where, but if you want a relationship with somebody, you kind of have to care about these issues just because you care about the person you're with and that's their life.
And if the only thing you talk about with your friends as far as relationship goes is the sexuality aspect, that's all they'll ever see, right? Mm-hmm. So letting your sexuality exist on a broader spectrum than what you put your penis into, right? That's going to let them see the diversity of the way you feel, right?
I was thinking, I'm trying to think of things for this person to do in their life. And if you go to a restaurant with some of these friends, and it's a very, it's a fat friendly restaurant. It's oh, they are on top of it with seating and stuff. Mm-hmm. You could be like, oh my God, my couple friend, the Gainer and Encourager couple, this place would be so great for them because it's, they're it's so, the seating is so size inclusive and that's such an issue. And when we go out.
And if they make a comment about that, then you can have a conversation about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can pull that. That's so interesting.
I do feel like it's an interesting situation that our chaser writer is running into that maybe many of our listeners have encountered in some way where our friends are maybe not used to seeing us with a partner or in a relationship. So their imagination is the only place where they've partnered us with someone. So our tastes are not reflected in that imagination, right? So the first time you show up with a boyfriend or show up with someone you're interested in, even if it's not, you're not sexual, but someone they can see, and you say, I find this person intriguing, that may help solidify your tastes in their minds too.
Yeah, exactly. And I think to Don's point, like nobody's going to sit there and imagine something they're uncomfortable with. So they're not going to willingly choose that. So if you show up and give them access to somebody that you're dating that they can meet and understand and humanize, suddenly the kind of weird stigma in their head might start to get broken down where they can go, oh no, this is a legitimate thing and not just some weird kink or fetish that I've kind of imagined it to be.
And let's face it, some of the friends that we're talking about that you think may take your partner choices with the most difficulty, may be the ones that need that exposure the most. Right?
Yeah.
I would follow that up with, but don't make that your partner's business.
Yes.
God, no.
Don't
It's not their responsibility. Don't make it your partner's responsibility.
It's not up to your.
And so I brought this fat person from our fat
prove
lab.
to you that you need to change. No, God.
Now you're going to watch while I kiss them, so you understand I find them attractive.
Oh God.
So I wanted to talk about another thing that the listener wrote, which was the idea of like, oh, I love going on hikes. I'm very outdoorsy. I have my friend that I go hiking with, but I'm uncomfortable bringing my partner with them because she says a lot of comments about people who aren't fit, and I would ask the group, like, to what degree is it important that you do everything or certain things with your partner? Assuming, if your partner may be into it, may not be, but I have an experience in mind where I took somebody I was with at the time on a hike with my mom and my stepdad because that was kind of the thing that we were doing, and he hated it, but he went along with it because he was expected to go along with it. And it was it was just a bad experience because that's not something he would ever want to do on his own.
But it's something your family always does.
Right. And frankly, I'll enjoy a hike once in a while, but it's not something I particularly do either.
Yeah.
So I think that, if it's the scenario where, this person is with a fat person who loves hiking and like is into hiking, it will probably shift the friend's perspective around like fat people. And if not, they won't go on the hikes and they won't be put in that situation.
Right. But you don't want to make the fat person the test balloon for this experience.
Right. That's kind of what I was getting at.
No, but I guess I don't see it as a test balloon. I see it as like, I don't think I'm
not going to take someone that I'm having second, third dates with to that environment if I can't be sure they'll be treated well. If we've been dating for months and like, oh, you should meet my family, and like, oh yeah, my family likes hiking. How do you feel about that? That's something else. But when it's like date 2, come meet my friend. We'll all go hiking.
Well, I guess I was not assuming that would be like second date.
Right.
Well, but it's
going to
be
third date.
Probably, I don't know, under 5.
Maybe, maybe if your fat partner likes hiking, maybe you find your place that the two of you like to go,
and then invite
the friend and make them the third party.
Exactly.
And I have noticed like a lot of chasers on their personal ads do talk about hiking and outdoorsy activities.
Can I address that?
I don't want to
think it's a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing, but I know way too many chasers who are like, well, I like super fat guys, but I would never date one because I can't go hiking with them.
Exactly. So that's where I'm like, yes, there are fat people who love hiking. I don't want to say like it's not something that they can do or can enjoy.
Exactly.
But the point is that if you are so locked into the idea that your partner must do very specific things with you, and those things are things that might be very difficult for a fat person to do compared to you, that can be problematic.
I promise you, the person who says, oh, I would never date, I'm attracted to 500-pound guys, but I would never date one because they can't go hiking with me. I promise you that is absolutely not about the hiking.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that
to be
has
clear,
nothing to do with hiking.
And to be clear, we're not talking about this listener.
No.
We've jumped off from that subject into this subject.
Yeah. No, I see a lot of that where I can think of someone right off the top of my head that Trevor and I know, where how they look to their friends and family is more important than getting who they want to date.
Wow. What a sad way to be. All right. Any final thoughts for our listener, our write-in listener? Do we have any advice as far as like if this happens again, what to do or say in specific terms?
I mean, my thing is just really share, like reiterate stuff about the type of guys you like, but also just share fat stuff going on in the world with them because it is it is part of your life and it will be such a bigger part of your life once you have a partner.
And that restaurant example you gave, like even if you're like, oh wow, look, they have armless chairs. That'd be great if I ever take a date here.
Send them this episode of the podcast. I mean, hell, let them hear other people talk about it.
I think living out loud about your desires is not only healthier for anyone, right? To accept what your desires, to put them out into the universe in the hopes that that will come back to you in some way.
You know, I never had the big coming out speech, especially to my friends from high school, right? I basically came home from college one semester and I was gay. And I didn't tell anybody. I didn't sit them all down and give them, memos and a worksheet. I just started reacting differently. And I started saying things like, oh, wow, that guy's hot.
This is just very Dan to me.
And if you just stop editing yourself, if you stop stopping yourself and let the comments fly out of you, believe me, people got the idea it was gay pretty quickly. and it wasn't problematic at all.
And what's more, when you start expressing yourself honestly and openly like that, people may find new levels of charm in you they didn't know existed
Absolutely.
before.
Yes, I will say, I think chasers need a little more tact, just a little, because there's just, I think there's, I have witnessed a lot of chaser self-expression at events that it has gone very awry.
Well, I don't mean you. I mean, all I'm talking about is, if it's in your relationship that you point out people that you find attractive, you should point out the people you find attractive.
This is, I just remembered this is what happened to me when I first moved to LA. And I had a group of gay friends who were all kind of standard gay guys. And I was never closeted about my tastes. And it was an interesting experience because I got, at one point, they were just asking me like, so I'm sorry, like, who are you attracted to? And I would say like, well, fat guys, like guys like him. And I would point to somebody and I definitely had this dual experience of being made fun of, but in an accepting
but
way.
Almost respected for it.
Yeah, it was like, so they would then start pointing out to me, oh wait, so what about him? What about him? And like,
it's like now you're on a game show.
Yeah, like it kind of like I was in the spotlight, which I think I didn't like, but I also felt accepted.
Yes.
Would it be acceptable to say it like affectionate bro teasing? Is that the
it was,
which is normal, I think, for male relationships.
But you got to get for civilians and normies, it is so far beyond their experience.
Yeah.
It would be like, imagine you come from a desert planet, and they come and then you're like, well, actually, I like trees. I think trees are really pretty, and they go, well, what's a tree? And you're like, that's a tree. That thing right over there, it's a tree. And they're like, no, and they're like, are there others like that? You go, yeah, that thing over there, that's also a tree. No, they're both trees. That's kind of what they're trying to do. They're trying to get a distinction going for what it is you like.
Yeah, they're learning.
Because otherwise, guess what? It's anybody who's fatter than they think.
Right.
Than they would date.
I would love to know if listeners have any kind of advice about how they've handled this. It could be fun to share that with this other listener.
Do a little follow-up episode. Tip for today, go watch Big Boys. Yeah. We'll do the same tip again. Yes. Streaming platforms, you can go to Big Boys. I think it's bigboysmovie.com.
That's right. Watch it till your eyes bleed.
Yeah. All right. What about a bit?
All right. Well, for today's bit, as I mentioned earlier on, I haven't been set up with anyone in my entire life. And today that changes.
I get to set you up.
Gentlemen, today I want each of you to select some celebrity, some famous person from your memory that we all would have heard of. You're going to pitch that person to me as a blind date, but you're not going to tell me who it is, right? And then I'm going to pick my blind date from our 3 proposals, and then we will find out who I'm going out on a date with.
Question, do they have to be gay?
No.
Or can it, in this sort of fantasy version?
This fantasy version can be anybody you like. They can be fictional. They can be real. They can be historical. They can be alive. They can be dead.
Okay.
Can they be gay?
They can be gay.
Like if we know they're straight, can they be gay?
Yes. But you're not going to tell me exactly who they are, but you are going to try and pitch them to me.
I have one, actually. I'm shocked that I have one.
I had one before he stop talking.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, okay. All right. So,
but don't say who it is. Just describe them.
Right. Just describe them. Very good looking.
I'm there. I'm ready. Let's
exactly. Very good looking, amazing
Done.
body, but also really witty. Like amazingly witty.
That's actually more important to me. So that's fine.
Well, but if you can get the same, if you can get both of them,
yeah, absolutely.
He is very successful, but often feels misjudged or misunderstood. Not in a tragic sense, but in because he's people think he's X, but he's actually 12.
Oh, okay.
He's mistaken. He's sort of mistaken because he presents a certain way, but he's actually really another way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can see that. I think I project something other than I am sometimes. All right,
I have one.
Okay.
So the guy I'm thinking of is he's incredibly talented and he's incredibly well respected for his talent, his craft. He's incredibly successful and yet always has this groundedness to his presentation.
I love a grounded quality. That's important in a person.
He's very grounded and very approachable. Very very
a
sort
real
of,
person.
Yeah, very low ego. Despite the fact that he absolutely could, have more. And he is so charismatic and charming and and also witty, I would say. And it flows easily. You just see it in every interaction he has with people that he's talking to. He is an actor, which I know can be a ding for you, but I think in this case, I think you will appreciate because he is also a voice actor. And
that's a plus.
It doesn't, his charisma comes through whether he's on screen or not.
Nice. Okay. I am intrigued by both gentlemen. All right. Trevor, do you have someone to pitch?
I do. Okay, so
Is he a worm on a desert planet?
Bachelor number 3. I'm intrigued.
Yeah. He is a Gen Xer. So same generation.
So age appropriate.
Yes.
I like that.
Gorgeous blue eyes, great laugh, good with his hands. He's a baker. He just, I think there's something very heartwarming about him, something familiar.
I might even know who this is.
You might. He's just someone when you really just kind of get to know him and get close to him, there's just this joy.
Yeah, and sweetness.
Oh,
Yeah.
I should say, sorry, my guy is also a huge nerd. Anyway,
Yes.
keep going. that was the reason why I thought of him at first and I forgot to say it. But sorry.
No, I think you would really hit it off.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
You got 3 great dates.
I've got 3 great dates here. I mean, this is some hard stuff. All right. Our baker boy sounds really interesting. Is he a kind person?
He is.
He is a kind person? Okay. Our voiceover person, he's geeky, huh?
He's incredibly geeky.
Is he
and
someone
known for
that
it.
is he someone that I could game with? Is he open to gaming?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
I think so. He's certainly voiced characters in games before, so he's related. Yeah.
And Dan, your guy is professional, but did you say?
How do you mean professional? You mean like doctor? You mean like doctor, lawyer, accountant?
Well, you said educated, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, he's educated.
All right. Oh, they all sound very good. Okay.
Another something else my guy is the kind of guy you could take to the opera, but would be very happy palling around with somebody's kids on the floor.
Oh God, this guy sounds awesome too.
I will say my guy is someone, you can take home to the family, you can bring to game night.
Yeah.
Just really a versatile.
Okay.
My guy has been proven to be a reliable long-term partner.
I love how we're selling them.
No, this is wonderful. Okay. Baker guy sounds amazing, but I'm hearing things from the other two that I think are putting them a little higher up for me. So I think our bachelor number 3 is my bachelor number 3. So I want to find out who he is later on. Oh, but these two, the geek thing. Oh, that's important to me.
Huge geek.
All right. Dan, your guy sounds amazing. But I love a guy that could sit down on the floor and play with kids. For some reason, that detail, that puts him over the top for me. So I think I think Michael, your guy's number 2. So
Okay. All right.
Trevor, who's walking away as I walk around the
It's
wall?
like the dating game. It's just
Who
like
didn't
the
date
dating
the
game.
Rose?
Who's walking away?
You just turned down Poppin' Fresh. The Pillsbury Doughboy.
Not only is he hot, but he's high in carbs.
He's
Damn
taking
it.
his little hat off and he's shuffling.
You know who
I'm so sorry, Mr. Poppin' Fresh.
I thought you were describing the cookbook boy, Janusz.
No, no, Poppin' Fresh. He first appeared in 1965 in
Oh,
it was
really?
his debut. So
Wow.
he is Gen Xer.
All right. Well, I give him the friendly hug and the sad little kiss on the cheek as he walks away. Michael, who is bachelor number 2?
You just turned down 90s era Mark Hamill.
No.
It's true. It's true.
Oh, god damn, he's perfect too. I would happily accept him today as is. He's
Or
still an
today,
awesome guy.
yeah, whichever.
He's still an awesome guy.
I was thinking 90s era because that's when he really reinvented himself as the Joker, as a voiceover actor, and it was just like this whole revolution for him.
he did amazing stuff in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Like I would have loved to have known what was going through his mind during that period.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
Well, that's when the true him was coming out. That's when the geek him was coming out and representing himself in his work. Because up to that point, he was Luke.
Okay, well, I'm going to give him a warm hug and a quick. I will cop a feel. I have to. All right, so I grab a little nibble off of Poppin' Fresh. I cop an inappropriate grope off of Mark Hamill before he leaves the stage. Who is my date with, Dan?
Well, you and Ryan Reynolds are going to be winging their way.
Okay, I've chosen well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
That's a
okay
good
with
one.
this. I'm okay with this.
No wrong answers here, but Ryan Reynolds is such a keeper.
Yeah.
God.
All right, dear listener, do you have someone that you should be hooking me up with? Trevor, where can they write in to tell me all about it?
Well, we're on Instagram and Twitter as @BigFatGayPod. We're on Facebook as the Big Fat Gay Podcast. Leave us 5 stars there. Leave us 5 stars on your preferred podcast platform. Support us on Patreon at patreon.com/BigFatGayPod. See the articles we talked about at www.bigfatgaypod.com, baby.
So does that make us and all of our listeners your pimp?
Yes.
Yes.
If my clever plan has finally come to fruition. I need me some tail boys. Get on the job.
Oh, Lord.
Maybe you're that we've wrapped filming and you're leaving the studio, but oh no, it's Poppin' Fresh. Boy.
Watch out.